They thought they'd won. When my parents and my sister showed up last week, grinning like predators, I already knew what was coming. "We had the house signed into my name," my sister said, waving a set of papers like a prize. "You're out by Friday." My parents stood behind her, smug, united. The family I bled for, now cutting me clean out. I didn't shout, didn't beg, I just smiled. You really think I'd let that happen? The estate wasn't just a house, it was history. My grandparents built it brick by brick, turning farmland into a legacy. I grew up running those halls, listening to my grandfather's stories, my grandmother's warnings. "Protect it," she told me once, her voice shaking. "This family eats its own. Promise me." I promised. When they passed, the will was clear, split evenly. But I knew what my parents were capable of. They saw me as weak, naive, easy to corner. So after graduation, while they were too busy scheming, I quietly moved the estate into a trust. Bulletproof, binding, a fortress they could never breach. Just in case. The signs of betrayal weren't subtle. The hushed conversations when I entered the room. The sudden interest my sister took in helping with the property. My parents pushing me to sign some papers for convenience. I pretended to play along. I let them think I was distracted with my career, too busy to notice. I let them whisper, let them believe. But every time they underestimated me, I sharpened the knife. I met with attorneys in silence, redrafted documents, recorded every suspicious message, every slip. By the time they forged their little plan, it was already checkmated. 2 days after their smug declaration, they returned, movers in tow, a convoy of boxes and hired muscle ready to strip the house bare. Their confidence was a stench, thick, suffocating. But it evaporated the second they reached the porch. Because I wasn't alone. He stood beside me, my grandfather's attorney, a man older than the oak trees in the yard, holding a folder thick with papers. Their faces drained when they saw him. My sister's grin cracked. My father's fists tightened. My mother whispered, "No." I didn't move, didn't blink. The lawyer opened the folder, his voice sharp as steel. "This estate has been under trust since the day of his graduation. Any attempt to transfer ownership without his consent is null. What you signed?" He tossed their papers back at them. "Fraud." The movers froze, unsure, shifting awkwardly on the steps. My sister stammered, "That's not possible." I cut her off, calm, precise. "You really think I wouldn't protect what they left me?" The confrontation unraveled fast. The lawyer laid out the evidence, their forged signatures, their attempts to manipulate notaries, the offshore account they funneled money into, exposed by the audit I quietly ordered. Every secret, every betrayal dragged into daylight. My parents stood silent, cornered. My sister shook with rage. "You can't do this," she spat. "We're family." I stepped forward, my voice low, controlled. Family doesn't betray. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't throw you out of the home your grandparents built. I leaned in closer, watching her eyes burn. "You taught me what family means, and I learned." The movers left, quietly. No one wanted to be part of their downfall. The lawyer handed me the final document, a restraining order, effective immediately. If they stepped foot on the property again, it wasn't my problem. It was the sheriff's. My sister crumpled. My parents stared at me like strangers. For once, I didn't see them as powerful. I saw them for what they were, desperate, weak, and powerless against me. They drove off without another word. The house stood silent, mine, untouched, safe. That night, I walked the halls alone. Every room whispered memory. Holidays, arguments, laughter. Ghosts of what family should have been. But I felt no sadness, only relief. I had kept my promise. To my grandparents, to myself. Revenge isn't about fire. Fire is messy, consuming. Revenge is about patience, about letting them think they've won right up until the ground collapses beneath them. They thought I was the child they could manipulate, the weak link. But the moment they stepped onto that porch and saw the truth in that folder, they realized I'd been 3 steps ahead all along. Now the estate is mine, not stolen, not cheated, protected. And my parents, my sister, they'll never walk these halls again. That's justice. Not with noise, not with fury, but with silence, with precision, with a smile.